Hello, my friends. Hello. It's been, has it been 2 weeks again or 1 week? Jeez, I always forget. Um, but yeah, it's been a while. Let me know if everything's working. I don't think I can actually see the chat, so let me quickly test this out. Oh, I can't see the chat. Beautiful, beautiful. Good evening, Don. Good evening, my friend. A bunch of people already in here. Nice. I'm a little bit late. That is because I'm an idiot and I had to do a few things before the stream. And I haven't been using, this is not the computer I usually use. It's just a streaming computer. So I had to update a bunch of shit because it's been a while. Paul just said this time is different. Jesus Christ. We'll see. We'll see. Nice partnership, Don. Yeah, we'll talk about it. Oh yeah, I should open a separate tab for this too. I'm awfully prepared today, as usual. Working always as an expert. I don't know why anyone would want to work with me, but I'm not complaining. So, Don, congrats on the sponsorship and the baby. Thanks, man. I mean, the baby's not out yet. It's still being baked, but she's coming. She is coming soon, actually. So yeah, for the people that haven't seen my Twitter post, which I think is going to be near zero, this channel is now sponsored by WooX. I just say Woo because otherwise it's odd. But yeah, we've been talking with them for a couple months, and yeah, they've been impressing to us, and we decided to partner with them, which is quite cool. It's more like it's a much closer relationship than we've had with previous sponsors, because everyone else before was just like, okay, just slap stuff on there and run it, and we don't really care what you do. Now we do have like an actual say, which is quite cool. So yeah, really appreciate their support. If you're interested in what they do, I mean, it's an exchange obviously, but if you're interested in what they do, you should check out Cred's Twitter. He did a write-up. I think it explains it properly. In general, I think people should read up more into what the exchange that they're trading on is actually doing. And Cred did it here for you, which I think is quite nice. So yeah, read that. If you like it, cool. If you don't like it, also cool. It's a little bit different than other exchanges. Usually how it works, right? And I'll just go through this very quickly. Usually how it works is you trade, and there's a bunch of hidden fees, right? Like you think, like if you buy this, like if you buy something and you sell it at the same price, you're not going to make a loss, but that's not true, obviously. And Woo does it a little bit differently, and you should go look into that if you're interested at all in that kind of stuff, which I think you should if you're trading. But yeah, they sponsor us now. It's cool, and we do have a say, which is even more cool. So if there's anything anyone has a problem with, you can ask us why that decision that they made or whatever makes sense or doesn't make sense, and we can go to them and tell them to fuck off or not, which is quite cool. I think it's a little bit more personal. Quite cool indeed, exactly. We'll read Cred's write-up. Yeah, I think that's just the best thing to do. I don't want to sit here and just talk about it for half an hour, especially given I couldn't say it as nicely as Cred does. I'm the idiot in the team. I just know how to trade, make lions go boing, basically. I can only do the trading part. The talking part, not so much. The explaining part, even less. I really don't know why anyone watches this, but it's good for me that people actually care of what I say. So yeah, how's your Bybit Degen account doing? Actually, really well. But I whiffed to I closed it. But I can show you guys an email that I got, which I found hilarious. I don't know if I post give me a sec. I'll actually show it because it's funny. We'll talk about price and stuff in a bit. But this is an email I got from Bybit. Hi there, this is Maxime, your dedicated relationship manager at Bybit. I hope you're doing well. I just wanted to drop you a quick message to let you know that you are the biggest trader at Bybit this month. Your trading volume is truly impressive. I'd love to connect with you to learn more about your trading strategies and goals. Oh, it's so funny to me. It's literally just a Degen account. I don't know if anyone's actually still trading on Bybit or how that happened, but yeah, it's actually not that much volume, I promise. But it's an actual email from the actual Bybit people, so it's quite funny. It just made me laugh. I saw it and I was like, what the fuck? Pretty sure that person just didn't really, I probably made it into the top 100 of the volume list for the month, but I have no idea. I was just surprised and made me laugh. And your question was just I'm just going to mention it real quick. But yeah, I closed the count down. Been a good run, but yeah. The YouTube channel broke resistance at 50K. Yes, we saw. It's very nice to see. It's been a long time in the making. That guy's watching right now. Yeah, he might. I don't know. But yeah, let's run through the markets real quick, and then we can do the casual stuff more, or talk about whatever you guys want to talk about, because like I said, it's been a while. But I honestly think there's not really that much in the markets itself. That's why I started out so casual, because the markets kind of look like shit. Damn, congrats, man. What time frames would you use on your Degen account? Just lower time frame scalps or swings? I was just doing lower time frame stuff for the most part, but I was also doing swings. Some of these positions I held for 3, 4, 5 days. But yeah, fucking hilarious. Never gotten that kind of email before from Bybit. So that was quite funny. I wonder why that is. They offered me free merch as well. So yeah, let's get over the Bitcoin stuff, so the people that don't care about anything else besides the price can leave, and then we can have a cozy round around the fire. Is that something that you say? Around the fireplace, whatever. Just gonna make it chill afterwards. So high time frame wise, right? If you're looking at the monthly, we have support at 20K, and we have resistance at 35K, and everything else in between is kind of shit, right? There's nothing empty here. On the way up, you can see you literally had just a thin move to the upside. There was no retracements whatsoever, and you had the same thing on the downside, right? So the only area that we actually have any action in is basically from 15 to roughly 7K, and then again up here from 24 to 16K, right? So I would consider these areas the only real the only supports that we have, really. And then the same is true here, right? We don't really have any resistance besides this. So basically, how I think about this is that, this move to support, we basically front ran it a little bit, but that's unsurprising. We saw at 16K, we talked about why it was bullish, right? It's just it was showing a lot of relative strength, and in general, people were way too bearish. So we never made it to support. A lot of people were waiting for the 14K support. Never happened. Don't think it will. So we're now in the situation where this, I don't think, matters too much anymore. We could still go to 14K, but I just don't think it's going to happen. It's very unlikely. But what I do think is possible and likely to happen is that we retest this consolidation, right? So we had a consolidation here, and we have a consolidation here. That's the two areas, and I know these are huge, and I'll go into them on the lower time frames. But basically, these are the two areas that we're dealing with, right? So the moment we dip into this area, I think that's a strong buy. And if we kind of rally high time frame wise into that resistance, that's a strong sell. If nothing drastic changes. But given these are so big, it doesn't really help too much. I think the monthly is pretty useless right now. If we go to resistance, you can start using it. But like in the middle here, there's really nothing that you can do with this. If you have conviction that it's going to go up, I mean, just hold. I mean, there's still room to go. Not that much. This is why I sold basically. Like I was like at 30K, I was like, okay, what's realistically, what's the upside that I can still get? I was like, okay, 35K. What's the downside that I can get? Well, 20K. And then you have this basically, this setup. And I never use this for my personal trading. That's why it takes me a second to find. But basically, you have this setup. I'll actually do it with a long. So at 30K, your setup is basically this, right? Because I was like, the maximum upside that I can see in this push is 35K. The maximum downside is 20K. So we kind of had this setup, right? At 30K for me. There was like a 14% gain to be had, but also a 35% loss. And I was just like, fuck this. That's not good enough for me. So I closed out my trade. We got too close to resistance. There's a chance that I'm front run my 20K thing too, where I'm like, okay, we're so close to 20K. The maximum downside that I can see is like 20, 19, 18. I'll scale into a position closer to support, but we'll see. So yeah, we're kind of in this in between on the high time frames, right? There's massive resistance up above. There's massive support down below. It's just the support down below is basically 30% below us, which makes me a little bit hesitant to jump into the market. And the resistance is not as far away, especially if you go to the weekly, right? Because on the weekly, we actually already hit the major resistance. We front ran it a little bit. 32K was the line in the sand where I was like, okay, that's the strongest resistance we've got. We didn't quite hit it, but we got close enough, right? At 30K, that's like the 2%, not a 2%, the 2K move. Not too significant. And with a downside of like the same, really, like 20K is the downside. I think if it goes really poorly, that's where we could go. And then it didn't make much sense to me. And on the weekly time frame, we're actually just building bearish structure, in my opinion. Because what we've been doing, right, this is the massive resistance that we have on the weekly time frame that I titled Indecision Zone, because this is basically where the market has to make up its mind. If we go above it, it starts looking like a wild bull market. And this is actually something where the monthly and the weekly disagree, because the monthly still has a little bit more room. But I give more weight to the weekly right now. I like to give weight to monthly supports and to weekly resistances. Just for some reason works quite well for me. But yeah, so on the weekly time frame, we have massive resistance at 30K. That's what we've been struggling with, this little red box here. We closed above it, but I figured back then even that even if we had like a little bit more of a leg, we already had a massive move towards that without any real pullback, that we would struggle, right? So I didn't really care about this close above resistance. Now, well, we closed above it, but immediately broke down. And last week we had a bearish retest. And as long as that's not invalidated, I'm going to have to be bearish. That said, we do have like a few narratives that are actually bullish. In particular, the banking narrative, where we have a bunch of smaller banks, but also quite a few big ones in America struggling. And that's the use case for Bitcoin in a nutshell, right? You're like, I don't trust the banks, fuck the banks. Bitcoin is the poster child for any of that. So it should technically do well when banks do not. It's as simple as that. You don't have to, like, people are trying to like 150 IQ it and being like, okay, but if banks do poorly, liquidity gets worse. And then no, it's just if banks eat shit in a way where the entire world economy doesn't collapse, you're gonna do well in crypto, most likely. I think that's just, anything else is just you're trying too hard. Like if you're trying to think around 10 corners, it just doesn't really help, right? So that's the narrative that is kind of making the bearish play harder, because I think if we didn't have that narrative, we would have been at 20, 26, 27 already. With the narrative, we're sticking around 28K. So you kind of have to be nimble, because if we go back about 30K, right? If we come back into this indecision zone, especially so quickly after we tested it the first time, there's a chance that we're going to break it. And then we might have some quick moves. And I'll be more than happy to be bullish at that point again. But right now, I'm more than happy to be out of the market. I think people's been getting chopped to bits in the last few days. Just look at the low time frames. It's been horrendous. So yeah, sound is very low. Can anyone confirm? I can try to make it louder, but I think I already have it on max. But Bitcoin is moving with gold, bro. I mean, somewhat, yes. Audio is fine. Cool. Anyway, yeah, that's the weekly, right? So we have support down here. Anything in that area on the weekly time frame, like what I could see if we get rejected here, is go in here, bounce, drop lower, people get very, very bearish, and then you start grinding up. Like that would make sense to me over a longer period of time, but it doesn't have to happen. I'm more than willing to entertain the thought that we're just going to do something like this. Also possible. For me, I'm currently positioned for this one, and I'd be willing to buy at like 19, 20K again. Should we add long position? Dude, I'm just talking about that I'm out of the market. And you're like, oh, should I add a long position? Well, you can. I'm not here to give you any advice. I'm just telling you what I'm thinking. And my thinking is it's a good area, like 28 to 32K is a good area to be a little bit risk averse. If you want to be risk on again, I think that's either going to be above 32K or at 20K. Do you short? Not anymore, no. Would you recommend knocking up a model and having a baby or participating in the markets now? I mean, it sounds better, no? Anyway, what we also have a bunch of meme coins pumping into Bitcoin resistance. Not great. Not great. Hi Don, speaking of good narratives, is Ripple winning the lawsuit also a good narrative? I think that'd be a good altcoin narrative more so than anything. Why don't you short? Because I like betting on upside these days. I was shorting most of the bear market for the people that are around still from back in the day. Give me a hands up. I'd love to see how many people are still around from those days when I had like 1,000 followers or something on Twitter. But basically, I was shorting this entire bear market all the way down. Not all the way down. Like I stopped at 4K and was like bullish at 4K, and then dropped to 3K and looked like an idiot. But at the end, was pretty good play. And I was shorting here, and I've not really been like. I think I tried shorting here as well, or maybe even a little bit lower. Like I shorted here close to the bottom, tried to short here again and got blown the fuck out. But ever since then, I've just been like, I feel much more comfortable just buying the market whenever it looks good rather than betting on it failing. I remember being salty that you were shorting my bags. Good times. Can you share good content for learning? I need to make it with trading. I mean, check out Cred's content. CryptoCred on YouTube. He has good stuff. And the best thing that you can do is just sit there look at the market, look how it moves, try to learn how the exchange that you're trading on works, think about what that means. Basically, I mean, just logically think about what it means that there's like fees and that like some participants have less of a fee than others, and think about liquidity and all that kind of stuff. Just sit in front of it, observe it, and actually just use your brain to figure out like how this entire market works, and then just find your edge. I think that's the best. I know it's super vague and it's like not really like giving you anything, but like trust me, like if you sit there in front of it, you look at it, and then you actually properly think about it, the logic of the market basically. If you're kind of like good at this stuff, then you're gonna find something that you can take advantage of. If you're not good at that kind of stuff, you should probably just not trade. Like anyone that tells you everyone can make it in trading is just bullshitting you. It's not true. Like I think most people should probably not trade. And if you have the discipline to actually like use your brain, and this is not like I'm just gonna have to use this indicator and sell when it does this and buy when it does this. Bullshit. It's not how it works. You have to sit there, make logical plans and logical ideas, understand how the market works, and like understand who's selling where and who's buying where, and what this and that means, like funding means for the market. And I mean, there's so many things, and you don't have to understand all of it, right? But you have to start understanding like bits and pieces of it fully, and then you can take advantage of those. But yeah, because I see too many people be like, you just have to use this indicator and stuff. It's not how that works. There's much more to it. And for example, I wouldn't say I have too much of a lower time frame edge. Like if I was sitting there trading the 5 minute, I would probably lose money. But I do know, and I do have a good feeling for when people basically like distressed selling, right? People are forced to sell, and not just like, okay, this is just a random guy that gets liquidated, but like proper big time, bigger companies in crypto are forced to sell, or in general, bigger companies in crypto are forced to buy, which also exists. Like that kind of stuff I'm good at, and I can take advantage of that. And that's kind of the niche that I've built myself. I'm not smart enough to kind of understand all the order flow on the low time frames. Some people pretend they are. Some people might actually be. It's not for me. But like I found kind of my little niche, and I think that's kind of what you have to do. And there's not going to be an indicator that helps you with that. Just how can we understand that? I mean, I don't know. The thing is, like, I didn't learn from anyone. I was just sitting in front of the market, and I was thinking about the market, and then I traded it the way I thought was logical. I mean, I got pretty lucky at the start, because I was starting out in a massive bull market, right? Like this was where I started out, and I had a pretty good gut feeling from the get-go. I got very, very bearish at 17, 18, 19, 20K Bitcoin. But then again, like I got very bearish here, sold everything at 17, 18, 20K, right? Like in between, I started selling at 17 and then scaled up basically. And then my friends made 2x's and 3x's on the rest of their altcoin positions, right? So it's not like I sold the Pico top. I just sold the top of Bitcoin because I got a good feeling of it. Of how the market traded and what this buying actually was, which was just bullshit, right? Like people were buying on hype. That was my beginning, right? So I had a really, really good bull market, and then I got to sell the top, which might have been just blind luck. And then I just stared at the market for a full year and got a knack for it. And I mean, I was staring at the market on this entire way up too, but the market obviously changed. So my advice is just like get familiar with it all, understand as much as you can. And this is not like looking into indicators and chart stuff. This is like just understanding the market, right? Like, okay, I mean, how do pre-sales work in this? Like if you want to trade altcoins, right? How do pre-sales work? How does all of this kind of makes sense. Who's making money here? Who's losing money? That kind of stuff. You just have to do some digging. But most people are too lazy and just want to do some lines on the chart, which works. This helps. But you have to understand the market first. And especially given, like if you're just trading Bitcoin is one thing, but and this is mostly what I do, but if you're trading altcoins, there has to be a lot more into it, in my opinion anyway. And the more you look at the chart, the more you will understand price action. But I think that's just part of it. Explain to us how. How do you know big wallets are pressured? I mean, I'd rather not talk about it. If you want to have it all handed to you, I mean, give me enough money to like fully retire and I'll give you everything. But I mean, I'd be stupid. But it's more than enough. Like I talk about how I think about the market and then you can kind of figure stuff out yourself. And if you cannot, you should probably not be trading anyway. Or just copy trade your favorite person, which is hopefully not me. And then maybe you make it, maybe you don't. So that's that. Anyway, the weekly time frame, I got completely sidetracked. But good question, whoever asked it. For me, the weekly time frame is basically at resistance. And when you're at resistance, especially, and let's be real, right? Like, I mean, we've been hilariously bullish since 16K, right? We've been hilariously bullish since 16K. Ignoring the fact that this is the first rally in the entire bear market and it's likely, I mean, it's just likely a bear market rally, right? The most likely thing to happen would be for this to make new lows. Like technically we had the bear market here, like we had a consolidation here, then we had a breakdown, and this is the first rally that we've had, the first counter trend rally. Like if you just think about it like very, very straightforwardly in that regard, this is technically a bear market rally, and you should be bearish, right? But we were hilariously bullish because the bears were too stupid. Like whenever you see the bears going too aggressive, even if their reasoning is right, they're gonna get fucked. That's the one rule in crypto. If you're a bear in crypto and you have more than 10 friends on each of your sides, you're probably gonna get fucked. It's just how it is, right? And this is what you're gonna see in the low time frames too, when we get to the low time frames. When too many people jump on the bear ship, it will go up. It's just how it is. Like, and then it will probably go back down, right? But it will go up to screw over people. Anyway, bears got too stupid, so we bounced. Now the question is it actually a bear market rally or is it the bottom? I'm generally bullish crypto, so I would argue it's the bottom. But there's a good chance it's actually not. It's just a bear market rally, but we'll just ignore that because we're bullish crypto. But then if you're considering it from that viewpoint, right? Like let's say it's a bear market rally, where would it end? And the most likely area to end, you have a range, you fall below the range, you retest the range. Like if you can ignore everything else, right? This is literally just a retest of the range. And when you have like a retest of the range from the underside, you would technically be bearish and expect this. If it doesn't happen, then you can be full bull tart, get an entry somewhere down here with a stop loss down here, right? Technically speaking. Now, obviously, it's a high time frame move and we're all bull tarts. So I'm going to try to just buy support, which, like I said, is going to be between 20 and 24K. Huge range we're going to see on the lower time frames where we get in. But yeah, it's a little bit of a tough picture, honestly. Like whenever I take off my my bull goggles, I'm like, whew, that's actually quite a shitty looking chart. That said, the rally obviously has been impressive, all that kind of stuff. But the chart would look much better up here, right? Like at that point, it's pretty clear where we are. And this is why I have the labeling on the chart as is. But yeah, I'm still positive that 16K was the bottom. Don't get me wrong. I just don't want to be the guy that just ignores ignores common sense. I think the common sense would actually be bearish and expect more bearishness, but yeah, we do have to have a little bit of faith in crypto. Anyway, on the daily time frame, what we've had, and this is like exceptionally choppy, we've had a breakout here, right? So we had resistance. Should be back. Anyway, I think we're back. Sorry about that. Too much bearishness, and the bulls start nuking my internet. Anyway, on the daily time frame, right, we had this massive breakout, and then we got a shitload of chop afterwards. And I'm not really surprised because people have been leverage aping too much, and you can see this on the low time frames. Like, this is not normal market behavior. Like, you have a massive move up, massive move down, massive move up, massive move down, big move up, big move down. Like, this is a bit fucked, and this is because people are just getting over leveraged in a market that isn't really liquid, or not as liquid as it used to be. We have a bunch of people, like with FTX going, we had a bunch of people leave the market, obviously, and liquidity has not been the same. And what that leads to is if a bunch of people position one way, it's easy to take advantage of it by just betting the other way. You squeeze them out and you can sell into that. It happens over and over and over again. This is good market behavior, yeah. But I mean, it's quite fucked up. People getting liquidity left, right, and center, which is fine by me. We need it. We need to get that kind of leverage out of the system. And it's not even that much leverage, right? But we need those apes to go. And if this keeps on happening at 28K for like the next 5-6 weeks, I'd be more inclined to be bullish, right? But right now, what it looks like, to me anyway, made a high, made a lower high. We've been making a lower high here, and now we're struggling here again. That's not necessarily a good look, right? That's just starts to look like a bleed out, basically. We have a bunch of impulses left and right, but the general market structure is bleeding out, right? As you can see here, like this is the direction it's been going. So we'll see how that goes. Right now, I mean, even if you don't want to do it like I did and you're just like a pattern idiot, no offense, you could just argue like you have like something like this and there's somewhat of a floor in here. I mean, I fucking hate these, but I mean, I don't even like it, but you get what I'm trying to say, right? This consolidation is leaning downwards. I like it better by just drawing a line through the majority of the price action. You can see that it's moving downwards. Like you had a bunch of consolidation here. Then you had consolidation here. You have consolidation here. Like it's moving downwards. We're not able to make new highs. Obviously, haven't broken this low either. So kind of what you're looking at is this high gonna break first or is this low gonna break first? And I think if this low breaks first, we're gonna accelerate to the downside. So because of that situation and the whole chop situation, I think it's just not too nice of a market to move in. And the altcoins, like whenever you have this situation, right, the altcoins struggle, obviously, because altcoins, what they need, especially in a market where you don't really have retail as much. When you have retail all fired up, doesn't really matter, like, right? Like altcoins are going to do well. But when retail and like in general, like the idiot from next door isn't in, and what you need for altcoins is trust in the market, right? So basically they will do decently well when people are not afraid that the market is going to go to zero. And right now, people are a little bit worried. People are not ready to throw their money into altcoins, and you see this in the Bitcoin pairs, right? So you just look at like Solana, and that's actually been one of the better performers. That's been a constant bleed out. We had obviously the nuke from FTX, We had massive bounce, but that didn't really materialize into anything. Right now, kind of looks garbage. You have ETH even, and there was a little bit of nice movement, right? And right now it's pulling in towards resistance again. But you broke support here, longer term support, held this one. I hate these kind of ranges because you have a million supports to draw. So we broke this one, but then moved back up, rallied, looked like a somewhat decent breakout, and then failed it again. So like that's the strongest altcoin by far. ETH's been holding really, really good, and even that is struggling. Like over the last year basically, that price action has moved downwards. Not as much as other altcoins, but still downwards. And not really expecting that to change anytime soon. But honestly, like if I had to pick an altcoin to buy, it'd probably be ETH. I have the most trust in that one, especially when people are not ready to buy altcoins. It looks like ETH's managed to establish itself as one of the few outliers, as in like it's now not Bitcoin in altcoins, it's Bitcoin ETH in altcoins, at least price action wise, which is quite good for ETH. But I think it's also a little bit early to say, so we'll see. But yeah, just a lower high. Yeah, right now it looks like a lower high again. So I mean, we've had a high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, and we even broke lows, right? So technically this is a downtrend. Then again, it's in a bigger range. But that's ETH, right? And now you look at other altcoins, and I mean, I like Litecoin. It's heading into a halving, so the narrative is there, but that's struggling massively. Still looks better than I think 90% or 95% of all the other altcoins, but that's struggling. XRP breaking supports, Dogecoin breaking supports, Atom just downtrending. Like we don't need to talk about these altcoins because they're all fucked, right? Like you might look at the USD pairs, you might be happy, but I mean, look at the Bitcoin pairs. You're doing yourself a disservice by ignoring the Bitcoin pairs. This is not a market that you necessarily want to be trading. And I don't think that's going to change, honestly. I don't think that's going to change. Bitcoin would have to break 40K. My gut feeling, like Bitcoin breaks 40K, you can establish into altcoins again. That seems like a decent bet. Before then, play your narratives, play your Pepe coins, right? Fucking Pepe. By the way, no one should be buying this shit, but it's been doing okay. But buy this shit, trade this shit, whatever you wanna do. But like holding long term anything is not the best idea. And as long as this is doing well, I'd be surprised if we see positive action anywhere else. And the reason why I think altcoins are gonna do poorly is basically, and this is very, very simple, right? Right now, we don't really have new money flowing into the crypto market. Nothing major, right? People have bigger problems. The only people that are buying crypto are the people that are kind of like afraid of they're buying it because Bitcoin is like the gold alternative, the fancy gold alternative. That's the narrative, right? They're not buying altcoins when they're worried about their banks, right? It makes no sense. And there's not that much inflows into altcoins, which wouldn't necessarily have to be bad, right? You say like you don't have any inflows in altcoins, they just go sideways. But that's not actually true. All of these altcoins have inflation inbuilt, right? Almost every single one, ETH being one exception, right? So every year, these altcoins release new coins that they dump on the market, right? So that has to be kind of bought up. Same is true for Bitcoin. And when you have that situation with no new participants in the market, you get this situation where like a little bit of selling can lead to just the price bleeding and bleeding and bleeding and bleeding. And that's what we had the majority of the last, let's look at an altcoin. It's been trading for a while. Like Link, for example, has been not necessarily like, it's not like Link has had major outflows. I think it's just majority like no one's buying it, and it's down 85% against Bitcoin. It's been bleeding out. Like it's not like these altcoins look like this, like they fully rug pulled. No, it's just a bunch of selling with not enough people to buy, and that's been the case for altcoins. And I think that could change if Bitcoin pulls, like if Bitcoin goes up quite substantially, because then people are gonna start gambling on altcoins again. You can see what the gambling on altcoins does when you just look at the Pepe chart, right? That thing is up like 10,000% plus. People find something that they can speculate on that actually goes up, they're gonna jump on it. But for that, the market needs to go up a little higher. People need to be excited about crypto again, and then you can have like nice altcoin movements. Does Woon have no KYC? Woo does have KYC. I probably wouldn't be comfortable with shilling an exchange that doesn't have KYC. Don't necessarily think that's a good sign in today's day and age. Like if you don't have KYC, and I mean, ignoring all the crypto ethos and everything, but if you don't have KYC, I'd be afraid for my funds, because like if you don't give a fuck about rules and regulations, you probably don't give a fuck about my funds either. So yeah, we need Bitcoin to rip for altcoins to do well. And if Bitcoin rips, Bitcoin pairs are gonna go down. So I'm not too excited about the altcoins right now. So like Bitcoin's at resistance, like the title says, altcoins are getting fucked. And if Bitcoin breaks out here, and I think Bitcoin is probably gonna go down, but if it breaks out here, altcoins are gonna be left behind. Cred commented, I updated the link to the article in the description so it works now. Please read it. So I feel like the hour spent on Google Docs wasn't a complete waste of time. Yes, you should. I mean, Cred's been spending a lot of time, and I've been doing something else. Oh, I'm such a useless partner. If anything, do it for pity, out of pity for Cred having such a shitty partner that lets him do everything. But yeah. What do you do if Bitcoin pumps overnight directly to 36, 38K before you had the chance to rebuy? Then, I mean, I think in general, like if this goes straight up, which always possible, right? But if this goes straight up, even if it goes to 48 or 50, there's going to be a pullback. And then I buy the pullback. The thing is, I don't really care, right? I don't know why people have this like thing where they have to catch every single price action. Like I don't. Like I wasn't. Like I didn't feel like I need to short this. Like I was pretty sure it was gonna go down, but I didn't feel the need to short it. I'm just more than happy to just buy in whenever I felt like it was gonna go up. I don't need to catch that price action, and I don't need to catch the price action between here and here either. Like if I get to buy 40K before it goes to 60K, I'm going to be happy. It doesn't matter where it was before. I mean, if I was mad about, like if I was worried about like, what happened, like what if, like I'd be mad about not having Bitcoin from $1, right? Like it's just like, it's a trade. Like everything is a trade. And the risk right now is astronomical in my opinion. And the reward is, okay, we might go to... we might prove that this is indeed actually bullish, and I capture $3,000 or $4,000 more of price action. Like this, capturing all of this is so important to people. Like for me, this was the important bit. Like 16 to 30K, that was the important bit. I don't care about 30 to 32 or 30 to 34. Like, I mean, just compare this, right? Like this to 35K is a 20% move, and I just got a move of 90%. Like, I don't care. It's more than okay for me to kind of pump, and then if I have to buy higher, I have to buy higher. It's really, it doesn't matter. And I think that's how trading works. Like if you're worried about missing a move all the time, you should be investing. Like that's the thing, right? Like I'd be like, if I was investing in Bitcoin, I'd be worried not being in a position, right? Like if you're an investor and you sell, and this happens all the time during the bear markets, like the investors start thinking they're cute and start trying to trade and actually lose everything. But if I was an investor, I wouldn't want to be selling, because then as an investor, my idea is Bitcoin is going to be much higher and I want to be in it, right? Like if you think Bitcoin is a good investment, it's going to go to 100K, why would you be selling? But if you're a trader, it's a completely different mindset. As a trader, you're kind of thinking, where can I extract the most value? Where do I have the safest bet? And for me, the safest bet was basically 16 to 30K. That seemed pretty safe to me. Everything since then has felt incredibly unsafe. And I'm quite happy to be out. And I'd be more than happy to get back in higher. I'm tired of you talking, Cred. When is Don joining the stream? I do sound so different from Cred, so that joke does really not work. But yeah, that's that. I think it's pretty straightforward right now. You want to see strength above 30K. At that point, you can start thinking about buying in again. I think 20 to 24K is an interesting area. Low time frame wise, we'll see how that plays out, right? Like maybe 21. Like on the low time frames, we have like a nice area here. That if it crashes completely would be interesting. Obviously this one too, like those ones I would be looking at closer. This is how I do it, by the way. Like I look at the weekly time frame, I'm like, okay, there's a big weekly support box here. I look at the monthly and I'm like, okay, it's clear that 20K is good support. And then I just kind of look on the low time frames. Is there something that I can that kind of overlaps on a bunch, and that would make sense in that bigger regime, basically. But yeah, you can also just watch this if you're still bullish and you want to like hold. I think this is basically the trend. I usually would draw it like this, but people always lose their shit when I draw trend lines, and this is in quotation marks, through price. But basically this has been the direction, right? I like to do this, find it much nicer than trend lines, right? So this has been the direction since the consolidation, right? The consolidation was curling up a little bit, pumped, pulled back, but in general, like this describes most of the price action. If we start losing that consistently, like basically we start hanging out and breaking this low, then it seems like this was distribution. And if we can hold this, it seems like it was accumulation, right? As in like, we're gonna do this. So you can kind of look at that too. It's not as scientific as like having boxes or like trend lines or whatever, but for me it makes sense. Short is pretty safe here. I don't think shorts are safe at all. I think this price action is gonna, like, if you short and other people short with you, you're gonna get fucked. If you long and other people long with you, you're gonna get fucked. And then the price action, like at once all of the people that are leverage trading are squeezed out, we're gonna either move up or down. But like that's the biggest thing that I have in my head, is that the leverage traders are gonna get wrecked over the next few weeks. You probably just drew and extended the V. I don't even know how to pronounce it in English. VWAP, whatever. Yes, probably. You don't like it, but like that's the thing why I'm like saying you don't really necessarily need too sophisticated stuff, right? Like it's pretty clear where most of the trading action is going on. You can draw a blind through price, and it's going to tell you as much as most of the fancy indicators will. Do you think we deviate below 15.5K this year? No. I think 16K was probably the low. But yeah. Okay, cool. I think that's it. Any other questions? I've been rambling on and on and on. I don't even know if that was at all interesting, but I was in a talking mood. So I did. Hope it helped anyway. Any thoughts on the dollar index? not really. I mean, it's struggling. I look at this time frame really more than anything, which is the quarterly on the dollar index, and so far it's still resting on top of the range, which is interesting because if you look at the Euro USD, that reclaimed the range. So basically, Euro USD is at resistance right now, but it reclaimed a range, which is quite bullish. So you'd expect this to do something like this. And then you have the dollar index, which you would expect, I think, because it's at support to do this. So those are both aligned for like a little bit of dollar strength, but I wouldn't want to bet on it. Will you be doing these more often? Yes, I generally do these every week. Don, do you think Capo is dead? No, he actually just posted on his Telegram. He posted that this looks like a massive dump is incoming. Just warning you guys. So if you're too short, it's probably time to get wrecked. Because if Capo's on your side, you're gonna lose. Anyway, doesn't like obviously you don't want to counter trade people. I don't think that's necessarily an edge to have. But yeah. So yeah, big shout out to the sponsor of the show. Didn't think I would say that again. Woo. They've been excellent to kind of set this all up with. You can thank them for this. This is going to be more regular now because I honestly like when you don't have anyone telling you to do something, you're just like, fuck it. Sometimes you just do something else. So I think the streams are going to be more regular. It's going to feel more like a job to me again. Like whenever I don't get paid for something, I'm just like, I mean, it's fun. I'm not taking it too serious. So maybe it'll be more of a regular thing, which would be cool, both for me and for you guys, I guess. Because honestly, talking about all of this stuff, while I'm talking about it, I'm obviously thinking about it, and I get to think about it on like a pretty straightforward level. Because when you're explaining something, you have to kind of think of it in a pretty straightforward way. And when I notice that I cannot explain something, and I mean that happens all the time because I'm a little bit stupid, but then I notice that I have to think about some stuff more, or like I generally learn a lot, I feel like. So that's quite cool. So yeah, expect them to kind of be around on the channel, and I advise you to check out what Cred's been writing. I think it's excellent, and it's like I said, I think it's important to know this kind of stuff, even if you're not using it. I think the best way to learn about the market is to understand how all of these exchanges work, how the blockchain works, how like that kind of stuff. Don't like go into the price action a little bit later, but understand everything first and then go from there. I think makes much more sense. There's a lot of edge to be had. Like you're gonna be ahead of most people in the market if you understand how exchanges work, and what fees you're paying and what you're not paying, how you're getting taken advantage of and how you're not. Like all that kind of stuff is very important. So read that stuff, see what you can learn, and then either use it or not. That I don't really care too much. I just think people should learn about it. Where link though? Twitter. Let me pull it out again and post it in the chat. Give me a sec. I mean, you can just go to Cred's Twitter, obviously. The detailed article is in the description. Just refresh. That works too. I would have linked it in the chat, but I actually was trying to link it in the chat, and I have 3 computers going on right now. And I didn't do it on the laptop, which is a little bit stupid. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the stream. Much love, and we'll see each other on actually, I was about to say we're going to see each other on Friday, but I'm not going to be around on Friday, most likely. I'm looking at a castle. I'm actually looking at a castle. It's quite funny. But yeah, I have like a realtor's thingy, whatever. So I'm not going to be around. Probably not going to buy it. And it's much cheaper than people think. It's just a renovation. It costs a lot. So it's not a flex. Stop it. Anyway, we might be doing the Casual Friday on another day. I don't know yet. Or Cred's just going to run Friday solo. We'll see. But I'll be back on Wednesday for sure. On the discount, I mean, my fiance is terrified of ghosts, so that's gonna be perfect. People are roasting me again. Fucking hell, life is tough. Yeah, enough is enough. I'll not listen to this roast in chat. Love you guys. See you soon. Bye bye.